Welcome everyone to Learning with Rev. Today we are going to be learning about loops in Python. In Python there are two main loops, for loops and while loops. We're going to start off with for loops. I'm just going to give an example just ahead. We're going to start off with a list. Our list is going to have numbers in it. Just some random numbers. And let's say we want to count through that list and do something to those numbers. We can create a for loop for I in A. We are going to print I. And as you can see right here, it has printed all the numbers within the list A. So this I variable can be anything you want. It could be J, some people use II. Common if you have nested loops, which are loops inside of loops, you use I, J, and K. But if you're programming something significant, you should really give good names for numbers in that list, for dates, for values, for anything that they may represent. We're going to print them. What it does is it pulls out that value. And what we can actually do is we can do for I in A, print A times 2. Not A, I times 2. And we get 2 times. So the great thing about for loops is it just goes through all the values and that's it. Another very common case for for loops is with a range. If you know you have to count up to a certain number, but you don't want to create this list, you can create a range. For I in range 10, let's say, we can print I. We get numbers 0 to 9, and we get 10 things printed out. We can also set this range from 10 to 20, non-inclusive. So if we know we have to count from this value to this value, we can do that in the range there. As I mentioned before, I'm just going to clear this out. We can do nested loops. So I'm going to set b equal to another list here. And we're going to create a nested loop. So we're going to say for I in A, for J in B, print, and we will put I, and we're going to do comma, plus, comma, J, comma, equals, comma, and we'll say I plus J. We get all those numbers added together. It's actually not the most efficient way to write it. We could create an F string since we do have a over Python 3.6 right now. So this is actually a little nicer. So it's an F string, I plus J equals I plus J. Does the same thing, but as you can see, it is slightly nicer to look at. And that is one important thing with coding. You want your code to sometimes look nice. First thing, the most important thing, does it work? Number 2, is it readable? Number 3, is it efficient? So, because if it does the correct thing and it's readable, somebody else can go back and make it more efficient. Sometimes you might waste time trying to make something more efficient when it can't be. It's best to get a functional product before you try to work out every little thing and make it perfect. So that was a for loop. Pretty easy. You can nest them, stick them inside of each other. You can iterate through lists, tuples, dictionaries, or ranges. You can even, this is also very interesting. For I in, we can create hello, it's rev. It's like, why are you iterating through that string? How does that work? It will actually print out every single character within that. So if you ever need to access a string, let's say you have a path. It's one thing I use it for all the time. Path equals home/rev/file/file.png. We can say the for I in path dot split. We can split this up here, and we're going to split it by that slash. And we get the pieces of our path, the folders in there. Great use for it. A split is also great when you have paths you need to access. If you're like, oh, what folder is that in? You can split it. It's awesome. Essentially, when you split it, it creates a list. So I can do that right now. So we could do path.split, and it creates a list of everything that's there. That's great. It's a great way to split things up. A little off topic, but that's okay. The next type of loop we're going to have is a while loop. While loops are useful when you don't have that list of items. You don't exactly know where you're going to end up because you're counting up to something. So we're going to set a variable count equals 0. And while count is less than 20, we want to print count, and we have to say count plus equals 1. So this is count plus equals 1. It's the easier way to write count equals count plus 1, just adding 1 to itself. And we're going to print up to 19, so you're going to have a 0. It's going to print it plus 1. Is it less than 20? Yes. Print. Let's go. And then let's say we get to 18. We have 18, less than 20? Yes. Let's print it. Plus 1, 19, yes, let's print it. Less than 20, no, break out of that while loop. So let's say you're ever counting files in a directory. You can use a while loop and count up those files. And once you get to the end, you can break out of that loop. Another use for while loops here is we can kind of do math on that value that's ever changing. I'm going to say if count modulus 2, which is the remainder, is the modulus operator. So we're going to divide by 2. What's the remainder? Is that 0? Yes, we are going to print it. So is it even? We're going to print. And else we are going to print count times 2. Oh, because we didn't set, if we print count is 20, so it's not going to work. When I set count equal to 0. Boom. So we have 0, 2, 2. 3 times 2 is 6, then we get 4, and then 5 times 2 is 10. So we multiplied every number there. So I hope this was a good introduction to while loops and for loops. We talked a little bit about nested loops and also using if statements within while loops. You can use if statements wherever you want, but it's just very common within a while loop. So I hope you all learned something today. Please subscribe if you're interested for more, and I will see you next time.